Hi, I just thought I would go through my rig and explain how I'm using it because when I was looking on YouTube, I couldn't find too many videos illustrating how to use the memory increase and decrease to store parts of a song. Most people are using this in switching between in single mode, switching between the various pedals to do choruses and verses. But I'm not using it in that way. I don't do any live looping. So I just thought I'd show how I'm using this machine. I came to use it in this way because I started off with the Digitech pedals, which stored parts of the song in memories, and so you toggle between different memories up and down, and I was using this pair to do that with, and I had it synced to the S drum, and that was a really nice arrangement and quite like that, but it was limited to 2 tracks. Couldn't really do a lot with it. So then I went up to the Eros, which came out around about that time, and this is a really nice pedal. It has a 6x6 mode. That means 6 parts and six tracks and 6 parts. But I never quite gelled with this because it's a lot of button pressing, and the touch screen isn't that great. And also it's quite slow to save songs and do stuff. So I hadn't tried Boss pedals, so I went to this one next. Actually, I used the RC10 before this, and then I went on to this. This is really nice. Quite impressed with how Boss do things. But again, it's only limited to 2 tracks. So eventually I went up to this one, which is doing everything I want it to do. I'm quite happy with it. The mode I'm using it in, like I say, is I use it primarily for songwriting, not for live playing. And the way I use it is to store the sections of the song in different memories, and then toggle up and down between them. The way I've set this up is to have my 6 tracks corresponding to 6 buttons, and I'm using the 3 modes. So in one mode, I'm using these as record, play buttons, record, play, and stop buttons. That's how I've assigned it. And in the second mode, I'm using it as clearance buttons to clear a track. And in the third mode, I'm using it as an effect. I'm using the effects section, and I have it set up for delay, harmony, and reverb. But I'm only using the internal effects sections for vocals. For the guitar, I'm using this Moore pedal, which I like a lot more than the internal effects. I don't find those very good. I can't get decent sounds out of them, not compared to this. So I'm sticking to this for the guitar effects. So my 6 tracks are set up with volume controls, but I actually only use 4 tracks, so I've only got 4 volume controls here, which I've assigned these to, so I can control the volumes of each track, which is quite important when you're mixing. I've got another button here, which is also volume control, but this is assigned to the rhythm volume via the expression pedal output. In fact, I took my expression pedal apart to see how it worked, and there's only like a little volume control inside it. So I bought a volume control 10K and wired it up to work in the same way as an expression pedal would. So there are minimum, maximum volume for that. The other thing that I've done is I've duplicated because I use this as a desktop, so I can control it easier. So I've duplicated all the controls to use with my feet in this MIDI Captain MIDI pedal. This has got like 10 buttons, and I've assigned 6 to my record tracks. It corresponds with that. And then in addition, I've got a rhythm kit track, variation track, and pattern variation, and then all start, all stop, and this is the rhythm stop and start. I couldn't assign the increase MIDI memory increase buttons to this MIDI pedal because, which was a surprise to me, because the Boss doesn't have MIDI assigns for memory. So I've had to bring in these 2 pedals and assign them through the control output. So these are just 2 pedals which I bought off of Amazon. They're quite cheap, and so long as they're wired in the right way and wired to a TRS plug, they all work pretty good. You can see it. You can see the memory is changing up and changing down. What else have I done here? I've got I've explained the modes. This is standard mode button. I haven't changed that from factory, but I've changed this to a write button, because if you want to write a memory, it's you have to press 2 buttons here, then this button, and this button again. It's like a palaver, but this just does it like boom, straight away. No problems there. This is a mic on and off button, so I can keep the mic permanently plugged in, and so it doesn't feed back. I can turn it off. This is a bank. I use this as a bank button, and this is a line input button. But you don't really have to worry about that. Okay, so what I was going to show you was how this thing actually works when you're changing between different parts of a song. So I think it's probably just best that I illustrate that, and then I'll talk through the various things. First of all, I'll start it with a all stop start, and I've got 3 tracks running. So I've got 2 guitars and a bass running. And so when you want to switch to, this is my verse 1. When I want to switch to the chorus, I'll press my up button, and you see it won't switch straight away. It waits to the end of the loop, and then it switches. Again, I'm using 3 tracks here. When you save, you have to make sure that you save every time you've finished writing your song, because if you changed your memory before you write it, you'll lose it. If you go up to a different memory and then go back again, it'll be gone. So get into the habit of just pressing the right button. So when you assign to the memory, you can change all the parameters. So you can have different drum kit. You can have different variations, and you can have different tempos for each part if you want, which is really convenient. So if I change up here again, so here I've speeded up to add the dynamics. I've speeded up the tempo, and I've also using a different set of drums and patterns. So that's my verse variation. If I compare that to the original one, I can go back to that. So that's slower and a different, less busy drum pattern. So the other thing I've noticed, one of the quirks of this machine was that if you for instance, if you have your verse playing and you want to add a vocal, what I usually do is I'll drop off one of the instruments just to give it a bit more space. So if I drop off that guitar part, do my vocals over the top, and then switch to my chorus, and I have to wait to the end of the loop here. So you'll notice that my first track is not playing. It's been muted. So if I go back, if I mute that track, and then, so it's not playing now, but now if I go back to my verse, that's not playing either. So I actually thought that was maybe a bug, but I queried it with Boss, and they said no, that's the way it is. They said you can't save the track status to memory, which seems a bit weird to me. So the way I can overcome that is to create another part where that section, if I want to create a part of the verse for vocals and I want some of the tracks muted, I'll just copy that to another memory slot, and then I'll remove the tracks I don't want playing. Well, the problem with that, though, is that you still have to fill those tracks you don't want playing with silence, so that when you go back to your previous memory, the tracks will play. So it's a bit of a workaround that I had to figure out. But once you arrange the song the way you want it, and you have the various silences in there and muted tracks, you can do everything with just one button press. Because I didn't want to be pressing muting buttons here and there when I was actually playing the song. I don't know if I explained that too good. I'm not really experienced at this, but I hopefully I can clarify. If you leave a comment, I can respond in writing and try to clarify that. So I hope this video has been useful and it answers a few questions you may have had of using the RC600 in this mode. Let me know. Thanks.